agenda later on. So please know that as we're unfolding the evening that we are recording. So if you want to offer something but don't want to be seen, then please mute your or cancel your video, or just know that we're going to be recording. Another thing is we have a technical wizard with us, Joy. So if you hear any of myself or the panelists speaking to Joy, we haven't actually lost contact with reality. Joy is here to help us get back on track with all of the technical things that we need to keep track of. We've tried to plan a lot of ways for you to connect in and engage with us this evening. We want to hear as much from you as you want to hear from us. So we would love it if you were able to put your questions into the chat or wait till the end of Ellen's portion of the talk and the panelists. And we'll have time for networking as well at the end of the evening, and then we'll come back as a broader group. So we definitely want to hear from you. However, once Ellen and the panelists have started talking, we're going to try and keep that show on the road, not waste a moment's time of all the things that they have to share with us. So without further ado, the agenda for the evening, we're going to have the wonderful Ellen Pruden, who is the director of Canola Eat Well, and smiling in my corner anyway, and I hope all of yours, just ready to share all her knowledge and enthusiasm. We're all can't wait to receive it. Then we're going to break out about 20 minutes after that for a fascinating panel discussion. I am just so excited to hear from every single person that Ellen has brought with us tonight, and I'm so grateful that they all are here, and Ellen's going to introduce them as she works through her part of the evening. Then we're going to break out after the panel discussion for some lighthearted networking, and that's where we're going to get a chance to work in smaller groups with one of the panelist members, or Ellen, myself, and a member of the planning committee. So we've divided you all up into groups, so there's nothing really for you to worry about or do other than to follow the directions on the screen in order to get into your networking group once that portion of the evening starts. We're going to come back for some enlightening highlights, and then we're going to have final remarks. And we have a draw for this evening. We have some wonderful prizes that were donated to us, and we'll tell you more about that as we hand out the draw items. So some of you are going to be lucky winners tonight of some very fantastic things, and then we'll draw the evening to a close. But all of the excitement and all of the fun that we're going to have this evening wouldn't be possible without our fantastic sponsors. And Canola Eat Well for Life has sponsored tonight's evening, as well as been generous across the other 2 speaker series that we have planned for you. Brescia University College also wanted to send their well wishes and sponsorship to us, as well as the Egg Farmers of Ontario. Many people have already experienced some of the fantastic recipes and things that the egg farmers have, and there'll be more from the sponsors in a grab bag that we'll email out to you after the event. Of course, the holidays are coming, and PC Blue Menu provides us lots of options for many delicious things, so watch for what they have to offer in the grab bag, and we thank them for sponsoring us tonight. Also, the Ontario veal farmers didn't want to miss out on all the fun and sent their well wishes and support for the evening. So we want to thank very, very, very kindly all of the sponsors for all that they have done for us and all that they continue to do in supporting the Ontario Home Economics Association. Okay, I am going to come back, and I did, so this is very exciting. And I just wanted to tell you a little bit more about Ellen before I close. Ellen is someone who I have heard of, but only recently started working with, and I just experienced her as a yes person. You saw that movie perhaps where Jim Carrey says yes to everything, and Ellen takes me as a lighthearted character, just like Jim Carrey, and says yes. She is the leader and first person in our speaker series, digitally and online and recorded. So she is fearless, but she's also the director of the Canola Eat Well program, who has really pulled together an incredible amount of resources that people, including myself, benefit from really every day. And they also help bridge the beautiful farmers that we have across this nation and the wonderful products that they make available to us. Ellen was recently deservingly awarded the Honorary Patron Award from Dietitians of Canada for her tireless work in advancing Canadian food and all that is important in nutrition. She is a really fun person, and I can't say enough about her. And I know that you're going to be as happy to experience her as I have been this past week and through the planning phases. So without further ado, I am going to hand over to the one and only Ellen Pruden, the stage. Over to you, Ellen.
Thank you so much, Peggy. And thank you all for joining me here tonight. I want to thank OHEA for being a strong leader in transitioning to these Zoom virtual conferences. It really showcases the adaptability of the organization to honor the needs of their community. The series, Creating Community Connections, is something that I hold value and near to my heart. Community connections makes my heart smile. I believe strongly in creating connections, and I'm excited and nervous for presenting here on Zoom, as this will be a first for me. I am Zooming in from my home office in St. Andrews, Manitoba, and we're going to be using the chat box, as Peggy said. So can you all type in and tell me where you're Zooming in from? So I know we have a couple comments. Great to see some people from Manitoba, my home province. Welcome, welcome. Amazing. Oh, and Edmonton, this is fantastic. Look at everybody come in. Incredible. Well, welcome all. I hope you're all doing well during these challenging times. It's interesting that we're taking time to talk about community connections in a world that I don't think we ever could have imagined. For some of us, we have less human interactions than we've ever had, but we've been adaptable in creating new ways to connect, like here on Zoom. I'm also going to be using the poll function. So this is where Joy is going to help out here. And our first poll question should pop up onto your screen. Okay, hand on heart. Are you wearing pajamas right now? Never.
Oh, yes. Look at how many yeses.
Business on top, pajamas on the bottom. Oh, that's me. And I literally took them off a minute ago. So we'll give it a couple seconds. It's just to be some fun. Swear, remember, this is Scouts Honor. Our family are Girl Guide leaders. So here we go. We'll just give another minute or 2 seconds, 3 seconds, and then Joy's gonna end the poll here for us. Okay, so the poll is closed. We got the results. Never is the number one. I don't know. I'm surprised. Okay. I'm going to be sharing with you my 5 pillars of building a community. And we have a panel of amazing humans. We have 2 professional home economists and a canola farmer who are going to be showing and sharing with us how they've built community. Mairlyn Smith and Erin McGregor are PHECs, and Janette Andrzejewski are canola farmers. They'll be joining us in about 20 minutes, and we'll dive in deep with them regarding how they've built community. But before we begin, I want to thank you all again for attending tonight. I think we need to take a moment and celebrate that we've all shown up. This is a really big deal with competing schedules, evening commitments, remembering online events, turning off computers or devices to unwind and unplug. So I want to again thank you for showing up. We're going to have our next poll question. So poll question number 2. This is a fun game to play with friends. Would you rather have a meditative moment together or stretch? We'll leave it for 1, 2, 3 more seconds, 5 more seconds. That's it. Where are we? Stretch is in the lead. Are we leaving? Okay, here we go. Stretch. We're going to stretch. Excellent. So we're going to take that moment and stretch. So I'm sitting. If you feel comfortable, please stand up. I want you to take a big arching arm, reach up to the sky, take a deep breath in, and now you're going to pull down and go to heart center. Deep breath in, and you're going to pull your arms down to your waist. It's kind of standing tree. So we're doing both. We're meditating, having a meditating moment, and a big stretch. Another big stretch up, stretch those arms up, arch your back slightly, bring your hands down to heart center, and down again. And our last one, big breath in, stretch it out, feel how good that is. Oh my gosh, that feels great. Back to heart center and hands down. Oh, I feel good now. There's a couple things on my journey that has brought me here today. It's a privilege to be part of the Professional Home Economists Association. I'm an honorary member in Manitoba, where I live with my family, and I have two amazing children, my daughter, Loren, and my son, Abinette, and my wonderful husband, Michael. They indulge me with all the fun that I get to have in the kitchen. They're my best taste testers and my best critics. I grew up on a farm and I have a really strong connection to farming. And when I started my career in agriculture, I soon realized and was told I did not belong here. I was not an Aggie. I didn't have my degree in agriculture. I was not a PHEC, professional home economist, and I was not an RD, a registered dietitian. I was just me, Ellen Pruden, who had their degree in education. And in preparing for this, I reflected, and it was these moments of not quite belonging to these groups and being told so, that I didn't really belong, that I decided I needed to forge a new path. And I had the ability to change this. And that's what I did. I built the Canola Connect community. Okay, poll question number 2. Joy's gonna pull that up. And here it is. I'm gonna be talking about 5 pillars, but I want you to pick your top 3. What do you think would be your top 3 pillars in building a community? Wealth, trust, fame, values, popularity. Why isn't anyone picking popularity? Learn, celebrate. We'll just give it a couple more. Oh, you're not falling for any of my tricks. So 3 more seconds there, Joy, and we'll see how our results come in. All right. Well, someone picked well. That was one. Trust, values, learn, celebrate. Those are all great pillars to build upon. I'm blessed to work with a great team at Canola Eat Well. We're a powerhouse of women, and it's taken this whole team to make this happen. And I would describe the Canola Connect as a farm and food community with passionate people who are curious about learning from experts, each other, and sharing together in a safe, supportive environment, who love to celebrate each other and our accomplishments. The 5 pillars I'm going to touch upon are trust, culture, learn, grow, and celebrate. And I feel that these are the 5 foundations to our community. Pillar number 1, trust. Trust may be a fundamental pillar in building any relationship. It's the key to a successful relationship. For companies and brands, it's extremely important. And I believe that you can all agree that trust is essential. You can't fake it. You just can't. You either trust someone or you don't. There's no in between. Trust is a universal value. It crosses all ages, genders, and culture. It's a transactional relationship. With someone's words and their actions, they must align. And you need to have the ability and the capability to deliver on a promise, no matter how big or small. Trust is the alignment of being true to your word and your actions for follow through. How do you earn trust? By being authentic. And for us as individuals, it's about you being you and me being me. It's just important just to be yourself. Now, this can be scary and edgy for some, and it's about vulnerability, but with vulnerability comes strength. And Brene Brown is the master in teaching us about vulnerability. In this book, Daring Greatly, she includes a quote from Teddy Roosevelt and that he gave in 1910. And on this day of the US election, it seems fitting to read it here. It's not the critic who counts, not the man who points out how strong man stumbles or where the doer of deeds could have done them better. The credit belongs to the man who's actually in the arena, whose face is marred by dust and sweat and blood, who strives valiantly, who errs, who comes short again and again, because there is no effort without error and shortcoming. But who does actually strive to do the deed, knows great enthusiasm, the great devotion, who spends himself in a worthy cause, who at best knows in the end of the triumph of high achievement, and at the worst, if he fails, at least he fails daring greatly. To me, this quote is about standing and stepping into the arena to do what you do. We all have our own arenas, our moments, our spaces where you are vulnerable, but that's those greatest moments that you get to build community. And if you can have a growth mindset, and I'm going to touch on that a little more later, you're there to get it right, not to be right. And for companies and brands, they have the ability to be authentic and build trust. And this is achieved by being transparent, doing what is expected, and having shared values. Pillar number 2, culture. I am fascinated by organizational culture. You know, in our families, our communities, businesses, culture exists. It's those unspoken rules, the guideposts that we live by, that we're supposed to know the rules to, but it's something to pay attention to. Culture is based on a set of agreed values. And I had the honor of being on Mairlyn Smith's Friday morning Instagram chats, her teas, and I was sharing about my family experience with the school culture and racism. And I shared this quote, and it was from Leslie Bickhouse, a former London, Ontario police officer. And she said, "Culture eats policy for breakfast. Culture eats policy for breakfast." She was discussing the role of racism in the RCMP, and her quote is so applicable to so many things. It doesn't matter what the policy, the rules are, or what's been created. If the culture doesn't align, then it doesn't work, period. At Canola Growers, we have a strong culture, and this was built by the staff. This is our culture, and this was built by the staff, and we carry it over to our Canola Eat Well team. Pillar number 3, learn. You may have seen this quote in some of our online communication posts or some of our materials. It is, "When we learn together, we grow together." This quote's a guiding light for Canola Eat Well. It's really fitting in building our community connections. It's part of our culture. It's our values. It's a core foundation. And research from institutions like Harvard shows how collective learning helps with high-level reasoning, critical thinking skills. It helps to deepen or helps to have a deeper understanding of learned material, and it also helps to lower anxiety and stress. Now for Canola Eat Well, this is not your typical school curriculum. This is about your own individual's learning plan, especially when it comes to your journey and your farm to food conversation journey. Our team believes in having experts to learn from, but also to access community members to learn from and to learn with. Being curious about the farm to food conversation is important, but so does embracing the vulnerability. It's tough for adults to be vulnerable and learning new things, or maybe not knowing all the pieces. This is why it's exciting and helpful to learn in a safe group of humans. We see this at events, conferences, and now through virtual learning like here tonight. Collective learning creates community. I had an idea a couple of years ago that wouldn't it be fabulous to bring people out to farms to experience what agriculture is all about. I grew up on a farm. I loved all the moments. It's just part of who I am. And I wanted to share this with others. And then the world provides you with this very serendipity moment. And Pat Orzack, a farmer and a fellow PECer, called me about something that she was working on in a rural community. And I gently asked her, "Do you think I could bring people out who are interested in farming to visit you and your farm?" And then Pat did something amazing. She said yes, and she brought her community of fellow farmers and shaped the program. It's now called Canola Connect Harvest Camp. It's one of our flagships, and it's an example of community building. All right, pillar number 4, grow. This is the inner teacher in me. I've been coined a human farmer. I like to grow people. It's one of my gifts. And part of grow as a pillar refers to the growth mindset versus a fixed mindset. And you may be familiar with this term if you have elementary age children. They talk a lot about this in school. A growth mindset is individuals who believe their talent can be developed through hard work, good strategies, and input from others. They have a growth mindset. While a fixed mindset is about believing your talent is an innate gift. Now, you don't have one or the other. We have both types of mindsets. It's just which one do you want to activate more? Growth mindset is about having processes and strategies. And this is something that I truly believe in. When you have a strong process, strong strategies, the end results are going to be good. We held a large conference a few years ago called Canola Connect Summit in Winnipeg. A staff of 4 pulled together this incredible 2-day event with over 80 people. The audience was a mix of farmers and food communicators. And that morning of the conference, I like to go for a walk to ground myself in nature. And before it was the craziness of all hands on deck for the 2-day event. That's when this truly hit me. We put in the work, we reviewed the pieces, we ensured that everything was ready for this moment. And when I reflected that evening for that event, and was it going to be successful? I was like, yes, because our process was successful. And so with that mindset, I walked into our summit knowing that we achieved everything that we set out to do. And now it was just time to celebrate. And that's our last pillar, pillar 5, celebrate. This is such an important pillar in community connections. And at Canola Eat Well, we love to celebrate. This can be challenging for people to celebrate as it takes hard work. Now, if celebrating is hard for you, I would ask you to pause and see how you can reframe what celebration means to you, because once you start, it is life-changing. Celebration means different things to different people, and I'm fortunate with our small team, we've made up our own rules on how to celebrate. We embed it into our culture, we hold space, and that's about taking the time to pause, to recognize community members and staff. It's really rewarding. I have 2 stories that I want to share. So one is birthday parties. So when my kids were small, then I realized that we sat around the table, we had the cake, we had the candles, and we asked everyone to sing happy birthday. This was my family's community that came to celebrate my children. So we all know about singing happy birthday, and then you make a wish, and you blow out the candle, and you never spoke of the wish ever again. And I stepped back and looked at all of my humans around my table and went, what? How? These people here that support my children and my family, they are here to help make their wishes come true. So now our tradition is when we celebrate happy birthday, and it's your turn to make your wish and to blow out your candle, you better be prepared to share your wish, because it's our job to help make it come true. Sandy Knight is another incredible farmer, and I think she could give lessons on celebrating. She celebrates a birthday for a month, and she encourages you to do the same. And if you have a birthday during a pandemic, she tells you to celebrate for a year. I think it's so fabulous. Celebration is also contagious, and that's in a good way. At Canola Eat Well, we try to celebrate and catch our community with things like birthing babies, union of partnerships, and of course, birthing cookbooks. Your community will help guide you on what's important. Professor Maya is a sociologist and author and a TEDx speaker. She teaches out of McMaster University. She is a woman who is authentic. She loves to celebrate, and she encourages women to celebrate their accomplishments, to stop being humble, to be proud of what you've done and or what you've created, or just celebrate your awesome self. I would encourage you all to follow her. She's an incredible teacher. I will post that on my Instagram page, so you can all go there and tag that, or we can share it later in the chat. So I'm going to end on a question that I ask many of our community members, and this is the last chat box question for you. So get ready to type in your answer. It's going to be a little longer. But my question that I ask everyone is, what makes your heart smile? So let's see, what makes your heart smile? So if you want to type that in the chat box, it could be today, tomorrow, what's happened to you today? What makes your heart smile? So, okay, so the answers are coming in. Families and pets, sharing time with my family, connecting with others, helping others, connecting with people, friendly, babies. I love babies. I want to hold a baby. Positive, joyful attitudes. This is incredible. I think it's one of those questions that I like to ask our community members, because it digs into what really matters. So it's just an incredible place that you get to touch somebody's heart and you get to really hear what's important to them. So my heart smiles that I'm surrounded by incredible, supportive community who is always here cheering me on. Now we're going to bring on Mairlyn. Mairlyn Smith, Erin McGregor, and Jeannette Undershewski to share their thoughts on building community. So they're going to come on, and Joy's going to help us be there. I love reading what makes your heart smile. Puppies and kittens, sharing meals with people. That is me too. Seeing people's past people succeed. Yes. Cheering them on. Nature. Oh, yes. Nature makes my heart smile. It's a grounding piece for me. Okay. So we'll get Jeannette and Erin.
And I unmuted myself, Ellen.
There you are. Yay. Look at all my people here, my community members. This is amazing. Erin, can we hear you too? Can't hear.
No, she decided to leave.
There you are, Mairlyn. Okay. And Erin, is Erin there too?
I'm here.
Wonderful. All right. Okay, so be prepared for if you want to take some, our people who are watching, if you want to have questions on community or any questions on my 5 pillars that I've shared with you. We are going to dive in and move to Jeannette. Jeannette, you're up next. So Jeannette lives in Two Hills, Alberta, which is a small rural farming community. You are a farmer, and in your previous career, you were a nursery school teacher. And somehow you've engaged Canadians and you've gotten them interested and excited about agriculture. How have you done this, Jeannette?
First of all, I want to say thank you, Ellen, for letting me be a part of this. A humble canola farmer from rural Alberta out here in the sticks. I'm worried about the internet failing, and yet I'm asked to be on this panel. So I'm so grateful. Thank you. And then following up Mairlyn Smith, good grief. But my story is so humble beginnings. I was a farm girl myself, grew up on a farm, saw how hard my mom worked, and said to myself, I will never be a part of, this will never be a part of my life. I do not want to be a farm lady. Next thing you know, I have met my prince farming, I call him, and we are now farming full time. But I had a career as a preschool teacher, and that career was so rewarding. And it took me years to develop techniques to understand children. So I think I've carried those techniques over into my social media world. But first of all, of course, as you know, developing social media skills, I am a mom first. And my kids have said, Mother, never put me on your Instagram, share my face. So even though my story revolves around family and farming, I'm sorry I can't share my son too much because he just, you know, I have to respect his space. But where has my social media beginning start? Well, it started with Ellen and Simone Collins Demars inviting me to be part of Canola Eat Well as a farmer who went to Toronto and shared the farm to food story. And I remember walking into the washroom just before I was asked to speak. And I'm thinking to myself, what am I doing here? I am so out of my league. Yet, you know, with the support of Ellen and Jennifer and many of the guests, I've flourished into this spot where I have a following, and it's fun and it's great to engage, and it's an avenue for me to tell my story from a farming woman's perspective. And I don't like to call myself a farm wife. I call myself a farm partner because I engage with my husband as much as I can on the farm and share that on social media. And so I kind of want to split this little talk into 3 areas. A spring. Spring is a time of year where you can really engage people and hype up planting and growing, and people ask questions and they want to know, what kind of seeds are you planting in the ground? And we have often, will sit up late at night asking myself, okay, what will people be interested in? So it might be driving a tractor or my bobcat, or it might be helping my husband load fertilizer into our air drill, or it might be packing his lunch and bringing it to the field. And I think this allows people to really feel a part of the planting season. And, you know, I build it up by, you know, I take it like a teaching lesson. Let's see how much we can build this up and get people excited. And so what I do to kind of engage these people is I put beautiful pictures of sunsets or a tractor driving across the field, or I might, you know, share words of how, you know, this hard season has impacted my family. I might even throw out there a personal fact that we've had a little scrum in the middle of the field, a little disruption of words and miscommunication. And I keep it real, and I keep it authentic, and I keep it humble. And sometimes when I'm posting, I'm having a little cry because it's really, really my story. And then we, you know, as a engager, we will roll into the summer season where, you know, we're crop checking fields, and we, you know, that's our date night, and I'll put a little lipstick on, and I share that with viewers. And these city people that I've met in Toronto, they just can't believe that I could be content going on a date and driving country roads and looking at crops. But yet they respect the fact that we're really engaging on growing our food, and we're concerned about the health and well-being of our crops. And I put pictures of that, and I share Instagram stories, you know, that build up the post for my viewers and guests who partake in my Instagram account. Also, and then, you know, it builds up the trust, I think, when they can actually see the people working on the farm and being a part of this whole farm to food journey. And then of course, fall. Fall is the part that is the celebration for us. It's hard work. It's tedious. It's exhausting. If the weather doesn't cooperate, it could beat us down. So I shall show our vulnerability, the raw emotions, how hard it is to work together as a family. And yet there's moments where we take a step back and celebrate because we finish harvesting the wheat, and then we finish harvesting the canola, and we might celebrate in the field with a meal that we all shared, and to calm down and come together and reconnect. And you know, I have viewers or guests who come onto my page and say, hey, wow, like that's a beautiful moment you just, you know, just showed us. Thank you. And it's the whole point of it is I want you to get to know me through my heart and through my pictures, and get to know that growing food is a privilege, and growing food is an honor, and yet we are doing our best to keep it healthy and keep our land safe and keep everything flowing as a family, because in the end we need to stay together as a family and build each other up.
Yeah.
So, you know, part of that story is to be sincere, be humble, take the time to, like Mairlyn said, reach back into those comments and let everyone know, you know, that you all actually appreciate them asking questions, giving them the opportunity to, you know, find out more about farming. So yeah, that's, you know, I guess, you know, it's a matter of building trust with our audience.
Well, you've done so, and it's, as we peer into Mairlyn's kitchen, we get to peer into the life of a farmer. It's been a joy, and it's incredible to watch, and I learn and take something away every time. Thank you, Janette. Erin, are you there?
You're welcome, Ellen.
Erin McGregor.
Yes, I'm here. I'm here.
Oh, Erin. Okay.
Hi. Happy to
Erin, she's a registered dietitian. She's a professional home economist. She's part of the duo for How to Eat. You are a master in communicating difficult topics and conversations, Erin, and you've had years of experience working as a clinician in healthcare. Of course, you're a counselor in your community, and as a food communicator through your various media channels. This has given you the a wonderful opportunity to kind of test out all your food communication skills. Can you share with us all here tonight a 3-step strategy in improving those communications?
Definitely. I am being mindful of the time here, so I'm going to probably run through them pretty quickly, but I just want to say how lovely is this to see all of my fellow professional home economists. I'm sure there's many students out there. I really look forward to the conference every year, and I'm so glad that the planning committee was able to pull this together and make it happen. So thank you so much for giving us the opportunity to share our knowledge with you, and thanks so much, Ellen, for inviting me to be on the panel. And yeah, the way that I've been building a community is really by working very hard to improve the way I communicate about food. It is a really tough thing to do. And part of the reason is, everyone eats. And as a result, everyone has their own ideas of the correct way of eating. But food choices are exceptionally personal, and they can really be entwined in a lot of our different values and belief systems. So, what we eat might be related to our culture. It might be related to our religion or where we live, what we can grow, right, Janette? It might be related to our career or even the decade in which we were born. Everyone in a way is a food expert, so it can be difficult to have conversations around food depending on where you're coming from. And so with this in mind, how do we navigate these really kind of these differences so that our conversations about food can be more productive? And particularly when the topic is something that is something controversial. So I think one of the biggest challenges comes in having conversations with people outside of our own tribes or people that don't share our beliefs and value systems. And I think that these days you've got experts and you've got consumers alike that have really strong opinions about a multitude of food related topics. And as Ellen said, I've kind of spent years essentially making mistakes to get to where I am today, to have improved my food communication skills and to have difficult conversations about food and other topics, really, because it's kind of all a universal theme when it comes to communication is what I've learned. With food in particular, the first step that I think is really important, and this is what Mairlyn and Jeannette really nail day to day, is to get personal. The reason they are such amazing communicators is that they're able to share their personal story, and that really helps people buy in. When you can make a personal human connection, when you see that humanity in someone else, you automatically kind of open the door to better communication. And getting personal is really about making a connection. It's not about extracting skeletons from someone's closet. It's not about necessarily forming, deep personal bonds right away, but it's making a small effort to find common ground as a way to disarm whoever you're communicating with. So finding this can be simple. It can be something as simple as sharing, small talk about where you live or what you'd like to eat. Commiserating is a good one. Commiserating about COVID-19, you may have heard of it, or something like the Canadian winter we're about to step into. These things really kind of just acknowledge that common ground that you share, and it opens the door for you to communicate even more and better. And really a big part of finding this connection is just showing up and being curious in a conversation, really stowing your agenda, even if you think you know what's coming, and asking questions. And when you ask those questions, to really be prepared to be present and to listen to those answers. I think that COVID has made this a lot harder because I find that one-on-one conversations or personal communication between two people, chatting next to someone on an airplane, maybe one day we'll do that again. It's having a conversation at a dinner party. It gives you a lot better odds of communicating meaningfully with someone because, again, it turns out that all in-person interactions are this way. You get to see humanity right in front of you. You're not hiding behind, an anonymous message board or a huge Facebook following where you're not necessarily having a personal connection with someone. But really, the point being is just like listening and making an effort to learn about what a person believes in and what they value will really give you that framework needed for the next step of my 3-step kind of communication strategy, which is to validate and to empathize. So empathy is really just the capacity to understand what another person is feeling or experiencing, imagining yourself in someone else's shoes, saying things like, I can see where you're coming from. I understand what you mean. Yes, that sounds really tough. Demonstrating that you're really making an effort to truly listen and understand, and acknowledging the other person's feelings as important. You know, when you put it that way, that seems scary. You know, okay, I can see why you would see it that way. And I have to say that this is where I make the most mistakes. And this is a really, really tough step for people, particularly if you're really knowledgeable about a topic or you have strong opinions about something you're having a conversation about. So as a dietitian, I have an all foods fit philosophy. I don't think that there's such a thing as good foods or bad foods. And so hearing someone come to me and say, you know what, I would never give my child Halloween candy. Sugar is toxic and it causes hyperactivity. That is something that really causes a quick defensive trigger for me. And it's my natural instinct to defend my position with something like, you know, that's not true. Here are the facts, blah, 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 blah. But the problem is that's not going to work. That's going to shut the wall down instantly because you're not validating that person's feelings. You're simply cutting them off and telling them that they're wrong, and that never really feels good. And by validating, what you're doing is not necessarily agreeing with what a person is saying, but you're just telling them that their feelings are valid. And really, all feelings are valid because they're just feelings. They're not facts. You know, I get it. I would be worried about my child if I thought I was giving them something toxic too, right? That's a better way to kind of open that conversation. Now, when a person is stating something or questioning something, on some level, it's really just a reflection of what they believe and what they value. And so for this person, it would be the health and safety of their child. And, you know, just like every other parent I know, we all value that together. So that's where you can make that connection. That's where you can empathize and validate with that scenario. And now empathizing or showing compassion really opens that door a little bit further for you to kind of share your point of view or share your knowledge with someone about a particular topic. And again, I talk mostly about food, but this kind of relates to so many different topics. And I'm actually reading a book right now. It's called Never Split the Difference. And it's about it's a nonfiction that's written by a former FBI hostage negotiator, and the tips that he used in negotiating hostage situations all over the world. And my mouth just falls open chapter after chapter because they're the same communication kind of steps and strategies that I've learned over the years to talk about food. Same as a hostage or a terrorist in his case, who he often negotiated with. So these are kind of universal truths. This is just the human way to communicate. And then finally, the third step is really to relate your truth or share your knowledge. But there's an important caveat there, and that's that facts do not persuade people, that people persuade people. And when you're going to share something about your knowledge, what you're going to want to do is highlight the way it might make why they might want to change their minds. It's really not about you. A convincing argument is really going to depend on engaging that person's values, not showing them logic necessarily. It's showing how that connection and the new facts that you have to add to that connection can help them change their mind. It's really important to try to step into the shoes of the person that you're having a conversation with, and realize that it's not facts that are going to persuade them, that it's really you and your story and your connection that's going to persuade people. The last thing I have to say about that is, you know, one of the most important things in communicating effectively is being open-minded and realizing that if you're hoping to change someone's mind or sway their opinion, you always have to be open to changing your own mind as well when you're about to step into that conversation. So that's the last piece there. So I think that was probably way too long, Ellen. I'm so sorry.
No, this is so fantastic. I think we could, you know, the panelists, you all could be sharing more. We were just given a glimpse to talk about. This is tough when you're on a virtual conference and keeping everyone's attention. So I want to thank Mairlyn. I want to thank you, Jeanette, Erin. You know, you touched, you shared pieces, all great takeaways for us to think about, look at, and of course, you know, we can all touch and connect with you further if we have more questions. And of course, Peggy, I'll turn it back to you now because I know we're going to hop into our rooms.
We are. Thank you very much, Ellen. And before we go over to our networking, we're going to just adjust our schedule just slightly. So Joy, I think we'll only be in our breakout rooms for about 15 minutes. We'll come back as a broader group and we won't do the large group debrief because we have a close that we want to be sure we finish off the night with. So that's how we'll readjust our schedule. And that is fantastic. And one of the things that kept coming back to me again and again is how each of you spoke is we saw the other side of realism. Unfortunately, when you think of realism, we see these exaggerated realities of sadness and, you know, but we saw the best of the human condition come out in your talk. And I think that that is such an important message right now, not because of where we've been, but of all where we may go, that reach out, speak to somebody, that there's someone reaching back to you was an overarching theme that I heard. And I thought that was beautiful and incredibly meaningful. So thank you very, very much. And with that said, we'll all get to speak to each of you a little bit more individually in our breakout rooms. So I think, Joy, if you're ready to direct us to our breakout rooms, that's what we'll do. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Well, hello, everyone. Welcome back. I don't know about you, but my time sure went quickly and we could have stayed a lot longer. And I apologize that we only had the time that we did. I wonder if before we go to our close, we could just catch some highlights from the networking leads, myself, Leslie, Brooklyn, and Eileen. And I'll start. It was just a wonderful group that was in my networking session. And we talked from the importance of social media, well, a couple of weeks old baby recognizing a grandmother's voice and bringing community or families together. We talked about a mom with a video screen of dad iPadding in to be able to share dinner with the family, having been so far away for so long. And we talked about in seniors' homes, somebody being able to just reach out and touch the hand of a new person who started working there. So we really talked about so many things, and we sort of left off with the some of us will be going into the holiday season and think of that movie Love Actually, where they're in Heathrow Airport and they're talking about all these incredible connections. And we felt that we had an experience like that and talked about the things that we see in the world in the everyday that is a counter narrative to it's a dangerous place and you can't trust anybody. And so we have to keep looking for those counter narratives. And those are some of the highlights of my incredible group and what we offered. And of course, Erin continued to share her insights and tips, and we all learned a lot from that. So thank you very much to my networking group. Leslie, I'm wondering if you are ready to share just a few highlights from your group.
Sure. Thanks, Peggy. Yeah, I mean, the first thing that struck me when I was chatting in my group was, I wouldn't be able to meet these people from Manitoba if we just had our regular conference this year. So I'm grateful in a sense that we had to pivot to this online format and get to talk to people from across the country. We had kind of a focus on seniors, and we learned about a great story that Evelyn shared with us about her Cafe 65 that she has started up, which is a wonderful kind of outreach and creating connections program for seniors in her community that involves lunch and entertainment and a newsletter and photos. And I also shared a program here in London where students have been asked to volunteer to phone a senior and just have a conversation about everyday life, especially during the pandemic when they're so isolated. So I think we just had a nice feeling in our group about just that importance of human connection right now. And we all, I think, are reflecting on how we can do more of it going forward.
Fantastic. Thank you very much for sharing that. Thank you. Brooklyn?
Hi, can you hear me?
I can hear you. We can hear you.
Okay. So our group focused a lot on what makes our heart happy. So we continued from part of Ellen's speech and talking about like what really makes our heart happy and how we have to take that a little bit further than how are you doing. And we had so many beautiful stories that were shared. Everything from like getting a meal brought to them to little Halloween candies that were left out by neighbors, and just like little moments of reaching out or bringing chocolates for someone's birthday. Those little things can have a huge impact in creating connections and really making someone's day and making their heart happy. So that's what we were able to talk about, and we had so many lovely stories. So I'm still smiling from it because it did make my heart super happy to hear everyone share it. It was really nice.
Oh, that's wonderful. And it sort of goes out like a pebble thrown in water, because now I'm feeling happy and warm, even beyond what my group shared. So thank you for sharing that, Brooklyn. Thank you very much. Eileen?
Well, Mairlyn talked about how she's been stepping away from technology and phoning people and sending cards. I think she said she sends about 1 card a week.
Oh, nice.
And then when she sends the card, the person phones her to thank her for the card, and they have a nice conversation. So that's something that maybe some of us should do more of. I know my sister-in-law likes to send those e-cards all the time. But and then we also heard a nice story about it was on Facebook about a family that the daughter had cancer, and they put a sign on the front lawn on Halloween night saying, "Sorry, we can't give out candy. our daughter has cancer. So the kids all left little piles of candy in front of the sign for the girl with cancer. So that was a very heartfelt human connection that she talked about.
Thank you, Eileen. That very much was. And what an important way to almost finish off our evening with that sentiment that children would have been walking by of all ages, and I'm sure got the idea to leave something for a person that even though they didn't know, perhaps they still felt connected to. And so that was a wonderful ending to our fantastic theme tonight of creating connections. So we'll move forward. Unfortunately, there's not that much time. I want to end off with thanking the planning committee for all of their tireless work and fearless crusading forward through all the challenges that we had to overcome. Eileen Stanberry, Michelle McAdoo, Leslie McGaskill, Brooklyn Buckley, Rebecca Hartley, and Joy, our technical person, also our fearless planning committee member. So thank you all very much for making tonight possible. I'd like to also share my screen one more time. And I see that what I'm trying to find is not there. So I won't share my screen. I will just thank our sponsors and hope that you all think of Canola Eat Well and Brescia University College, the Egg Farmers and PC Blue Menu and the Veal Farmers Ontario as you reflect on this evening tonight. So thank you very, very much to our sponsors. And at the beginning of the evening, I promised you a draw, and that time has come. So I'm going to hand the evening over to Rebecca Hartley, who has been managing our draw behind the scenes and is ready to announce some few lucky winners of some things that we have collected to hand out tonight. Rebecca?
Hello. So everybody, I'm not sure if you saw me kind of writing numbers here at the very beginning of this, but we have 2 winners tonight that we have set up, and we will follow up with you by email as well shortly so that we can arrange delivery and obtain your address to get them to you. So first we have a cookbook, and the winner of the cookbook was Mairlyn Weber. So congrats. We also have a manicure gift certificate from Fantastic Nails, and the winner of that was Mary Jacob. So we will also be reaching out to let you know how we're going to get it to you and get a little bit more details. Congrats, both of you.
Thank you very much, Rebecca. That is exciting news. So I think that the last acknowledgement in the last part of the evening really does go to our speakers, because they really brought so much life, and as we've been talking about heart throughout the evening, so much heart to the event. And Alan, I can't tell you how much I admire you, and I'm sure everyone in the conference admires the team that you've built and what you've dedicated your life to doing. And thank you so very much for sharing your enthusiasm and ideas and your strat pillars for creating connections. I know I'll be using those, and I'm sure everyone in the conference as well too. Mairlyn, thank you so much always for wearing your heart on your sleeve and being the voice of reality, which is also a very funny one and an encouraging one. And I was so happy to see Ellen hold up your Peace, Love, and Fiber book, as well as have it in the background of Eileen's screenshot, because that is truly a love story. It's not just a cookbook, it's technically excellent, but I actually have it on my coffee table. So if anyone's looking for gifts for the holidays, I highly, highly recommend Peace, Love, and Fiber. It did change my life, really. And so thank you for that. And thank you for your generosity tonight. Erin, thank you so much for always, always reminding us that the truth can reach and be a single voice louder than a crowd, and for giving us some tips on exactly how to do that so that we can achieve the connections that we all want to make. Thank you very much. Janette, so many of us, when we talk about ourselves, say we grew up on a farm or we had days on the farm, but you are on the farm. And so in many ways, and for many of us having lived in the city or off farms for a very long time, you are living the dream. And thank you so much for sharing all of your adventures and your heartfelt sentiments, the ups and the downs of being on the farm, because it's it's reminding us that those do happen. And so we are connected when we see someone else share it, that we're not alone when we're going through it ourselves. So thank you all so very, very much and so sincerely from the Planning Committee and on behalf of everyone here. We couldn't have been more happy to have you, and thank you very, very much for coming. So that is the end of our evening. Thank you so much, everyone. Please look for a digital grab bag from us. We're going to be emailing that out to you. Please, for our 2 lucky winners, connect with Rebecca on how you can get your prizes. And we'll be sending out an evaluation after the event. And we look forward to hearing your comments because we really want to honor what your ideas are, and we love hearing from you. So thank you all very, very much. And thank you very much, Joy, for all of your hard work and keeping us rolling, and for all that you've done to make tonight a success. Have a wonderful, wonderful evening, everybody. Have a fantastic holiday season. And thank you all very much for creating connections tonight, and continue to make many, many more for yourselves. Have a lovely evening. Thank you.